justice for all. Okay, we have a quorum of the new board here, call to order, and a confirmation of the proper meeting in the place. As I can tell by the smiling faces out there, you saw where you were supposed to be when. And thank you to the T&T committee for that suggestion of putting the colors in line of sight with the camera so people at home can see what we're doing. Okay, we have absolutely no approval of meeting minutes, no reports, no unfinished business. This is a very short meeting, hopefully. The very first thing is, and I'm going to skip A, we're going to go to B first, and there's a reason why. A is PAL Architect proposal, the discussion on voting timeline, but it's really going to be on the shoulders of our communication ad hoc committee to let us know exactly what that timeline is going to be, probably in April. But let's go to B, Communications Ad Hoc Committee review of tasks and objectives. Anyone want to have any questions? Now, this is something that Mary Kay put together, submitted to the board for our push on it. If there was any questions or suggestions, if we have any further questions or suggestions, now would be the time to bring them up.
I do want to make two corrections.
Okay.
First of all, I found two typos.
Oh.
Second of all, it says that we will consist of a maximum of 5 members. I would like to change that to 6 members, please. We had 6 applicants apply. This will allow us to have extra hands on deck in case somebody's not available.
Why don't we just say 7 and make it an odd number just in case somebody else out there?
That's fine.
Yeah, that gives you, let's just say 7.
That's fine.
Anybody have any issues with that? Okay, 7.
Also, under the social hall complex renovation, it says, well, it's divided into sections to best education. It should say this, educate residents, not education. And the letter A should say draft construction grade blueprints, not building grade blueprints.
Okay.
And then on the first sentence of page 2, same thing, to best educate residents, not education. And I replaced blogs with podcasts since blogs are no longer the thing to do.
Gotcha. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I thought you were
I
saying.
think the same thing is under paragraph 2, changes to covenants. That same education should be educate, just educate residents.
Yeah, I copied and pasted the same thing.
Okay, all right, good.
Any others? The only question I had was, in the third sentence, it says the committee may recruit as many volunteers as needed to perform board-approved tasks. However, they are not participants or voting members of the committee. The only thing I would suggest, however, they are not voting members of the committee. They still participate, and I think that's some of the things we've lost in the recent past is people wanting to participate and being able to participate. And I understand sometimes you open up that can of worms and the Pandora's box, but I think that's just those 2 words need to be taken out. They're just not voting members, but they are participants, and they can help us. That's just my suggestion.
Chris, I agree with you, because I think just by being a volunteer, you're a participant. Just by the fact that you're volunteering and doing something with the committee, you're participating with the committee. So that may include, like when they do mail-outs, they're putting together things to put in the mail, putting the documentation into envelopes, things like that. I know that from the past when it's done. So I would agree to take that out and just leave that they're not voting members.
I would not disagree with what you're saying. However, I just want to mention that committees have rules, and the reason for those rules that have been around for years is that committees are given tasks, and they schedule meetings to fulfill those tasks. And you have to give the chairperson of the committee some latitude as to who they allow to participate or not. but you just can't have committee meetings and you have a bunch of people there that show up and interrupt the proceedings that they're tasked to do with interruptions and questions and things like that. Historically, the way it's been is that people can come to the committee meetings, they could ask questions before and they could ask questions after, but historically they have not been allowed to interrupt the proceedings during the time that business is being transpired. And I think there's a reason for that, so you have to somewhat respect that and give the committee chairperson the latitude to perhaps deviate from that somewhat, but not to the point where it becomes chaotic and counterproductive. So
I serve on a number of committees, and frankly, having the input from participants has been extremely helpful at times. I've never seen it be chaotic. I've always seen people raise their hand politely and discuss things. And as we heard at the building committee meeting, a couple of people were there and offered input. No chaos, just simply offered some input. I think that we have really good people here at Legacy. I think that we have committee chairs that are experienced and can handle someone who might try to take over a meeting or, but my experience has been, first of all, very few residents attend committee meetings who are not on the committee, first of all. Second of all, I've seen participants who care to come to a committee meeting give good feedback and participation.
I would agree.
The thing when I think about committee meetings, you know, Legacy is kind of like the city of Leesburg. The board of directors is like the city council. There's a reason why somebody has to sign up ahead of time to speak at the board meeting or the council meeting. However, at a committee meeting, such as a building commissioners committee meeting, that's when people can come in and talk to the committee. And I could bring a point a few years ago, before Four Seasons was built, they wanted to put 270 homes in 51 acres. Because a couple of Legacy residents went out at the building commissioners committee meeting and spoke and talked and worked things out with the committee, and they were allowed to do this. By the time it got to the city council, the planned unit development only had 145 homes. So that, I think that's a good point about committees, and you're absolutely right, Frank. The committee chair has to control things, but I think we've kind of gotten away from allowing people to go to committee meetings and speak. We've got a lot of good information, and I've got a lot of people here who haven't, you know, the building committee. My gosh, what those guys have put up with for the last 4 years and the information they had was outstanding. And they did allow people to speak at their committee meetings. So, not much, but they did. Matter of fact, there's 2 people right there that I think were just about it all besides Rod Ross. So, anyway, if we take it out, Mary Kay, is that something as a liaison you could live with?
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that, except that language appears in every other committee charter. So if we're gonna revise this committee charter, we have to revise every committee charter, and that's not what we're here to do today. So.
No, it isn't. And as a matter of fact, next committee meeting, we're gonna be talking about that. So anyway, our next, board meeting.
Yeah, Chris, that doesn't mean we can't change this particular charter
No,
today
we can
and
do that.
follow through with,
Yes.
the general guidelines, yeah.
So I'm gonna recommend, and if there's any really, I'll just ask for a straw vote. All those in favor of taking out the 2 words participants or aye?
Aye.
Any against? Okay, we'll just take out those 2 words. And for the people at home, if you're gonna go to this committee meeting, you know, be respectful. Okay. Any other questions about the ad hoc communications tasks and objectives? Mary Kay, thank you very, very much
Nice
for
job.
getting us started. Very, very impressive. The next thing,
Do we need a motion?
Yeah, I was gonna say, let's get a
Yeah.
motion here.
I'll make a motion that we accept the ad hoc communication tasks and objectives as was amended.
I'll second.
Frank will second. Frank will second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Moving right along, let's go on now to the appointing of committee members. Mary Kay, do you want to do this individually or just as a group?
I think it's a group.
Okay,
We
well,
have,
we'll just,
since
go-
we've already revised the committee charter to say 7, and we have 6 participants. The 6 people who have applied to be volunteers are Patricia Ritchie.
just a second, is she here?
No, she's
Oh.
she's not here today. She's
Okay.
got her computer and she's working.
Gotcha.
Trevor Honey, Sandra Velardo, Jerry.
Hold it,
and-
Trevor, just so people know.
You left a little while ago.
Yeah, I know. I just want people, and who's the next
I
one?
was gonna do them all and then ask them all to
Oh,
stand
I'm
at the
sorry,
same
okay.
time. That's okay. Sandra Velardo, Jerry Seward, Karen Hickerson, and Gary Smisky. So if you would all stand up so we can see who you are. Gary's in the back of the camera, Sandra's up front, Trevor's right there.
And so's Karen.
Karen is,
That's
Karen Hickerson's right there.
And Jerry
Jerry
Sue.
Seward is not here, but she was at the committee meeting on Monday. Our preliminary volunteer
Yeah.
meeting on
Get
Monday.
together, right.
Concerned citizens meeting.
Okay, all those in favor of all those volunteers, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Mary Kay, I know you've already, had a little get-together with the folks.
We've met several times, yes.
And, possibly, we've got this, and this was a suggestion from Mary Kay, and it just makes so much sense. We have a pool party coming up, and, I think you wanna do pass out
A flyer, yeah. Based on the 2 town hall meetings and questions that were presented by residents at those 2 town hall meetings, the committee came up with the 15 questions that were asked most frequently. And we're currently in the process of drafting responses to those questions. We have a deadline of getting those answers to Patricia Ritchie by Friday afternoon. As soon as they come in, I would like to forward them to the board for review. If we can get them approved on Monday, we can get them in the newsletter for April, and we can also get handouts done so that they can be handed out to every participant that picks up a free hot dog, hamburger, or cheeseburger.
Is there any issues on the board with us doing that?
No.
I know it's, ladies and gentlemen, I know it's not an open forum, and you won't get a chance to see the 15 questions until we do and say, yeah, let's go with it. But I think this should work. We want to get the information out there as quickly as possible, as best as possible, so we can move forward. So with that, you're gonna let us know by the 21st?
By the 20th.
20th, I'm sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
So be looking at your email, go ahead,
Just a
Barbara.
little point of order. I don't know that, I think we need to appoint Mary Kay as the liaison from the board.
Okay,
Officially, I mean, that should be in the minutes.
I think so too.
okay. Is that, do we have to vote on that, or?
No, I think you just have to appoint her.
Mary Kay, if you would accept, I would appoint you as.
I accept.
Wow, I feel powerful. Thank you very much for all the work that you've already done. Much appreciated. Okay, back to A, which is panel architect proposal, discussion on voting timeline. I think we're gonna table that until we get some information back from the communications ad hoc, how they feel about things.
I think we should not table that. I think we should go ahead and schedule something, but not next week, maybe the week after.
Well, I would like to wait till after the board meeting on the 29th, and then we can say, this is what we'd like to do maybe in April, starting in April, for 30 days. I understand, but we want to give the ad hoc a chance to get the information out to people. That's the whole idea, because we're getting a lot of pushback now. And we want to give them time to get the information out, get some report back as to what we need to do, so that we can say, this is what we want to do and why. I'm not just looking at the first vote, I'm looking all the way through to the end. That's what I want to get done, and this is why. But we would need a board meeting to say, give a certain date.
So there's already a motion on record that we were going to start the voting the day after the town hall meetings, which was the end of February. Now we're pushing it out more than 30 days.
We have to rescind that motion.
Actually, the motion didn't give a date. If you look at the motion in the minutes did not give an actual date.
It said
Didn't
immediately
talk
after
about
the town hall, so it said immediately after the town hall. So I think to clean it up, what I would do is rescind it, and then part of the motion would be to pick a voting date at a future meeting.
I think we're losing the synergy that we gained from having the 2 town hall meetings. There was a lot of positive input and excitement after the 2 town hall meetings. We got some great feedback from those town hall meetings. The building committee made the changes that were spoken about the loudest, and those changes were put on the plans that are set up in the CAM office. And I think the longer we wait to start this vote, the less of a chance this gets to pass. The intent of the residents of Legacy for years was to do this renovation. That's why they set aside $1.7 million for this. And the longer we wait to start the vote, the less chance of it having a fair chance. And I have to question why we are waiting weeks longer. I totally get waiting since the town hall meeting because there were questions and we wanted to get some communication going, but now Mary Kay and her people, even though they weren't official, they've got those questions, they're ready to go. And for us to put this off another 2, 3, 4 weeks, I think if that's what's done, history will show that that decision was a poor one, and the chances of this being a positive outcome. I haven't heard any compelling reason to wait 3 or 4 weeks more now. I'll say one more thing. We've already contracted with Thai Vote, and they've already done work that we will owe money for. And why we're putting this off weeks more is beyond me.
Okay, may I just offer an example why? This past weekend at the pool, there was a resident there that has admittedly been here 12 years. She was talking to some new people and said, they're going to take away all of our bathrooms out here. All of our bathrooms out here at the pool, and she said it loud enough for others to hear it. So there's still a lot of confusion. I agree that we are going to vote, so we're not going to lose any money with Thai Vote. There will be a vote. What we're saying is to let's make sure people know what is going on. I don't think, when did the email go out with the new updated plans? That just went out within a week.
No email's been sent.
No, actually,
Again.
the plans haven't gone out.
Well,
So where we are in it up to our necks and know about it and realize what's going on, the people out there don't know about it.
So those issues are addressed in the communication that has already been
Exactly.
adopted. And I would like to propose an alternative here, that instead of waiting until after the 29th, that we start the voting on the 27th, which is 2 days previous. That still gives the community a full week to read what is being distributed and what will become the part of the newsletter on April the 1st, which
That
is
sounds
only 4
reasonable.
days. I think that's a logical solution to the problem. I don't think it's pushing it out too far. I don't think it's cutting it too short. I think it's, if
Reasonable.
people know there's gonna be stuff coming out, they probably won't vote the first 2 days.
But Mary Kay, given Frank's concerns, what difference will 2 days?
Well, we're talking about a week.
If I could, that'll give you a chance to vote, because you're leaving on the 31st. So if we wait till April and we only do 30 days, you're not gonna be able to vote, Dave.
Well,
of my life.
And I know you vote no, but no, I'm just kidding.
No, I'm gonna vote yes.
Well,
Okay, let me, is there any issue if we wait until the 27th? It's like Mary Kay said, they're gonna have these 15 questions out for 600 people. That's how many people we got coming to the pool party.
So that would be 2 weeks from today.
no, 10 days, 10 days. Today's the 15th, so next week is the 22nd, it would be the next Monday.
Yeah.
That gives the communications committee a full week of distribution.
And Josh, can you email those new plans out to everybody so that they can?
So you appointed a committee to do that, do you want the CAM office to handle the email too? I mean, like, we're separating, so I mean, if you create a committee to communicate to the,
Yeah,
you know, I would probably task them with that.
yes.
So-
That's exactly-
Not that I'm scared to do the work, I'll do
No,
the
no,
work.
You're exactly correct.
Yeah.
So
That's what we have done.
I was not planning on including the drafts, I'm trying to get it to be a one-page document,
Okay.
because once we do multiple pages, it gets lost. The only thing that was included in the original questions was, so the community has said, we don't like this and we don't like this, what are we doing to fix it? And part of the response is gonna be, there will be bathrooms in the cabana for both men and women, outside to allow pool, people from the pool and their guests to use the bathrooms outside. And then the other response was the library committee, or the library club has already met with the building committee, and they have already reversed the names of the room to accommodate the extra space for the library. So those were the two big issues that we heard at the meeting, and both of those are being addressed in the question and answer, the FAQs that have been drafted. Now, if you want us to include a picture there, that's gonna expand. To do a 2-page document or a double-sided document is gonna get complicated. A 1-page thing is so much easier.
Okay.
I do think, though, that the latest and greatest plans with the changes made should at least pictures be taken of that, and like on the Channel 16 slides, it's
Yeah.
still the old plan. It's still the old, it's not the latest and greatest. So new pictures have to be made, and people have to be able to see those changes. That being said, people need to understand that those plans are fluid, and through this whole building process, those plans could slightly change more. So it's not static, it's fluid.
And that's also addressed.
Right, and I know you've addressed that in the frequently asked questions, but we are voting not for plans, we're voting to have the architect proceed with this project. And the first step is having construction grade documents made. So,
I want to clarify something. So Josh, are you saying that the communication committee is going to be responsible for physically sending out the emails?
I'm not saying anything, I'm just asking what, you guys create a committee to communicate with the community. So do you still want me to handle the taking a picture, drafting an email, and sending it out to the community? Because I can do that, but I thought that was the point of it.
No, I think they're going to draft it, but physically.
I'm not physically sending the email. Whatever is approved by the board will go to Josh for
Right.
general
Yeah,
distribution.
and I can do that,
Yeah,
it's not a
okay,
problem.
I just heard something different, and I
I
wanted to
just
clarify.
wanted to make sure that basically, if two people are working on the marketing for this, I just want clear direction on what
Yeah.
you're expecting of me and what the committee should be doing.
Well, I still think that the plans, the new updated plans should go out in an email to the community. I
Okay.
think, why not?
Sure.
Send those out now so people can see this is the upgraded plans. I think we need to, and then the facts frequently asked questions should go up on the Channel 16 and then on the webpage and all of that. We just need to hit them from every side. I'm sorry, did I say that? We need to educate from all directions.
There you go.
I have extra bricks in my backyard if you want to hit them on the other side.
I know that Mary Kay mentioned the changes that were made based on some of the feedback after the town hall meetings of which the two bathrooms out at the pool, as well as the accommodations for the library. But I also know that there were a number of people that approached me after the town hall meetings expressing concern about the wall to be placed back here in this room back here, which they were concerned about shutting off all those windows back there. And so I don't know what we intend to do about that, but I know there's a lot of concern in the community about that.
Well, there is, and you know, the funny thing is, I walked in here yesterday afternoon, and all the blinds were drawn. If you go in there today, all the blinds are drawn. And if you think about the things that we do in that room, most of it takes place in the early evening. Not that we don't want the light, but it's like Frank explained, we're gonna have better lighting in there. So people have complained for years about needing more storage space. And if we don't do that, they don't have storage space.
I would agree with you, Chris, that we definitely need more storage space. I thought Frank made a good point earlier about storage for a possible improved stage that could be assembled and disassembled, things like that. Or we have extra tables, we have the chairs, we have those things that need to be stored here. In addition to that, I think maybe Mary Kay's group could address that and say very much what you just said, Chris, that the blinds are generally closed in those rooms, you know, on a regular basis. Most things in the social hall are held at night. And anything else we might be able to mention in her documentation so that people understand how we're making good use of space, etc.
I think two of the important things in there is the lighting will be changed to be brighter in the room, and as Frank said, we can have more television, so we don't have to use this overhead that you can't see half the time. We can have more TVs on.
Well, the concern that I heard was also that, by numerous people in different social circles, by the way, I've been approached numerous times on this subject, because for the people that are involved in clubs and have activities, there's 3 tables that line up in that area over there. That's 8 people per table. That's 24 spots. It's called a dead zone, but it's not really a dead zone when you're just having an event in that area. And then the area in front of the kitchen is also used with buffet tables for food and stuff. So it may be called a dead zone because you can't see the stage, but we've come to use this area for our events, and we need that space for those amount of people. I mean, I'm in numerous clubs that have used it. I was just in the E&C meeting and we had light because the blinds were open. Garden Club is in there in the afternoons. There are clubs that are here in the afternoon, and that natural light is used. I understand that the lighting is going to be better. I understand all that, but you can't get back 24 seats, and you can't get back the area where you're serving food and stuff. So I'm just bringing that up from what I've heard.
So if I could respond to a couple of these concerns. The bottom
Do you need
line.
to respond? I mean, these are just ideas out there,
Yeah, yes.
different ideas, but go ahead.
Number one, I think we're kind of micromanaging the committee. They've worked for years on this. They felt that we needed the storage space, and they were charged with the responsibility to make optimum use to every square foot that we have here. They put that wall there, but I've talked to the building committee, and look at it, this is not a hill to die on. If you don't want the wall there and you want to keep those windows there, fine. I don't think the whole project should be derailed for some windows that I've never seen the blinds open in the 6 years I've lived here. But in the end, it's just a wall. It doesn't have to be built. It could stay just the way it is. And that's how the process continues when you work with the architect. And there's going to be minor changes here and there. In fact, I spoke to the building committee the other day that they noticed one small kind of a typo, a little problem with one wall that they never caught, that they will fix. So it's still a work in progress. So I can't see anybody voting no on a project because they don't wanna see that one wall built, because that one wall may not be built, it may not be a storage area. But the consensus at the time was that we needed more storage area, especially if they go with, they wouldn't need it as much perhaps if it was a permanent stage, but if we don't do a permanent stage, if the board decides to do a bigger, stronger, more safe temporary stage, that's gotta be kept somewhere. And that's why they wrote it up like that. But if the community doesn't want that, it doesn't have to be there. This project is resident-driven, community-driven, not board-driven and not building committee-driven. So let's not derail this project over whether or not we see a few windows.
So I think part of the issue too is that people don't understand what a slight change is. That's never been really defined. And when you have a wall or don't have a wall seems like it's a bigger thing because it's a wall. And I think that's part of the confusion. And I do think I was at the town hall meeting, that second meeting. There were a lot of gasps about that when that happened. And I had numerous people come after me. Terry's had people, David's had people. This is a big thing for people that are involved with clubs. And so I've had people say, well, how come these changes were made and how come that wasn't? So at the end of the day, I understand you're saying slight changes, but if people don't understand what slight means, and I've had people say, I will not vote yes if that wall doesn't come down. I've had people tell me that. So it will change a vote, a couple votes, I don't know how many votes, I have no idea.
And
But I've heard that.
that's why we've got a communications ad hoc committee.
And that's why we need to address that.
So I just want to say one thing. We are voting to hire the architect to draw the plans. A lot of the issues that are coming up here are things that will be addressed down the road, not on the initial construction grade
Amen.
building plans. We need to get the architect to put these construction grade building plans together. We have 3 opportunities to make changes to them after they are drawn up. But we cannot go out to bid without these plans. If you are gonna vote no because of a storage area, no matter what we say, you're gonna vote no. I don't mean that the way it came out, but there are some people here who just are gonna vote no on principle. We are gonna do everything we can to try and reach those people and explain to them that we are just approving the plans. Things will come later. Stop trying to say what's gonna happen if. We don't know what's gonna happen if. We need to get this plan approved, and that's the only thing I'm saying.
So Mary Kay, would you like to make a motion for the voting to start on 27 March?
Yes,
For 30 days?
yes, I would like to make a motion that we start the voting on March 27 to extend for a period of 30 days.
And I'll second that motion. Terry, do you have anything?
No, I agree with everything that's been said, and I think one of the biggest things, and I understand what Mary Kay just said, I think everything's gonna come forward in the communication is the biggest thing, and I agree with you that yes, the wall should be a make or break it, but I think what's important is that people understand, even though I realize that things can change, that they fully understand it can change, and that it's not written in stone. I know we've said it over and over, but I think that's what's gonna be drilled home to them, and I think we definitely need to move forward.
We've actually taken those words, this is not set in stone, out of the equation because it's been used so much that people just think of it as a negative thing. So we have removed that from the equation and we have called them fluid plans and changeable plans and proposed schematics. So we're removing that set in stone language.
It is exasperating when you hear things like they're taking away all the bathrooms. Now, think about that for a second. Do you honestly think when you have people in a pool that we would actually take away every bathroom anywhere near a pool? Like, how ridiculous that is. I mean, but they have heard the people's concerns. We took away the vendor bathroom. We took away the maintenance bathroom. We put a men's bathroom back in there. We put extra stalls in the women's bathroom in there, plus we're making 2 doors to have access to the other set of bathrooms. So the result is actually better than before, because if you're not ambulatory enough to get out of the ladder, you will be able to go out the slope
The short,
and be very close to bathrooms. So this is an upgrade in many ways, and so it is exasperating when you hear misinformation that people are so inclined to believe and perpetuate, you know. So, I mean, we still have people thinking we still have precincts. I mean, you can't derail a project because of a few people that are misinformed.
well, we still have people thinking it takes 667 votes to pass this.
Yes,
Yes.
and that will be clearly addressed.
So,
Is there any more discussion on this, about the 27th of March for 30 days? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Then it starts on the 27th of March. Step 1, ladies and gentlemen, when this all started, and I moved here 15 years ago, I had hair. I've been pulling it out, and you know what Frank just said is true. People have been complaining about storage. I mean, this building is what we got. And we're just, the building guys, we're trying to listen to people and input from different clubs. They talk to a lot of people to say, okay, how can we make this work better for everybody? Thank you very much, Sandra. And the thing that we have to remember, it's going to be different. Oh my God. I've said that word, different. We hate different. We hate change. But hopefully it's gonna be better. And that's the whole idea. With that, I'm gonna mention this, and I was gonna do this before, but it's kind of a, we've had some people from the audience say, well, you know what, I only get 3 minutes to talk. How come you guys can talk forever? Because we're the board of directors, that's why. And it's been suggested, and I'm gonna go, this is not gonna be hard and fast, but it's something that they do like at a town council meeting, is they try to keep what we say down to like 5 minutes, so that, you know, number 1, we can be focused on what we're saying. Number 2, hopefully we can eliminate back and forth. And number 3, it'll help the meeting move along. And I'm probably just as bad or worse than any of us. So going forward, I'm not gonna make that a hard and fast rule, but it just may be something that we can remember in the future. We do have a board member orientation tomorrow afternoon at 2:30. Josh is gonna be running that. That's gonna be in the Social Hall Burgundy Room. We're not gonna be discussing anything, we're just gonna learn how to be better board members. We also have a board meeting on the 29th of March at 2 p.m. and one on the 26th of April at 2 p.m. I have one announcement. Friday is St. Patrick's Day, and right now at Oakwood they have a corned beef cabbage sandwich which is out of this world. I had one today for lunch. It's through the weekend, so if you get a chance to go out to Oakwood and enjoy a corned beef sandwich, man, it is dynamite. Is there any other things, announcements? Coming up, we've got a pool party on the 21st at 11:30. Is that what time that starts?
Sounds about right.
No? 6:30? No, it's 11:30.
Yeah, I hope it's not 6:30.
It's a morning thing.
I signed up.
And if you haven't, is it too late to sign up? We're having hamburgers and hot dogs, right?
And cheeseburgers.
And cheeseburgers.
I don't think it's too
Hamburger, cheeseburger, or hot dog, not all 3.
And do we have a group, or is it gonna be the management group that's just gonna sweat and work? Do we have?
There's a few
cooking?
people that will volunteer, yeah.
Good.
So there will be entertainment.
Oh yeah, there you go. And it's free. Oh, man.
Free food.
Anything else from any other board member? Thank you all very much. You'll second the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
It says here we better have a form.
Yeah, that's not right.
what it says.
It says we have an open forum.
And that was published, though.
If there's anybody, is there anybody that wants to speak at the open forum? Okay, because it is on there.
Yeah.
Is it on? Can you hear me?
Whoa, whoa. Good place.
I don't want to think this is Get Up Frank Week, but I am going to talk about the committee he's on and he's very committed to, and these gentlemen of the building committee did a brilliant job. Except for one thing, this is totally different to anything you've done before. And you need to communicate with the people. You didn't do that. You said, come to our meeting, come and talk. Hey, this is not a one-way street. You need to come to us and see what we want before you had those town hall committee meetings. You needed to come to the community and find out the drawings, and you called them plans. I spoke to your committee and they said they're not plans, they're drawings, and you're calling them plans. All of you calling them plans. They're not plans. Those plans, if you want to call them plans, have created more problems in this community than you can think of. They are all, everybody is talking. There is a big problem there. Communicating with this community, right, you have to go to them. Don't say, hey, come to my house. I'm going to tell you how it's done. You have to go out to the community and meet them, get with them. I asked those people on the committee, how many of you have walked across that stage? None of them. Yet the stage is a big, big question. I've got 200 written votes of people who want a permanent stage, right? No, I mean, that's just one instance. Plans, drawings, one-way street. We are now setting a precedent, not just for this vote, but the next big vote that comes up, right? We are going forward, and we're going to get a yes. I'm pretty convinced we're going to get a yes to do this. But we are setting the precedence for the big vote. You know what the big vote is? I'm going to leave it there. Okay? Now, you were saying the committee that you put together, oh, they thought the storage area said, no, wrong. One lady stepped up here and said, hey, the big winner here is storage. Why have you got so much storage? They asked your committee at that town hall meeting, and the guy said, the board told us. We didn't decide, the board decided. What about the people? Do they decide? I understand a lot of this, that you want to have a much better community, but if you don't get out there and communicate with the people direct, and I suggest we get into their homes in whichever medium and way we can and talk to them. It's not resident driven, what you've done here. The drawings that you put up here created any amount of problems, and you're saying, hey, don't look at those, we can change those. Why put them up there if you've got to change them? They should have been changed a long time ago if you're going to use drawings. They should have been the right ones first time round, and that's communicating with the people. Get out there and talk to us.
Trevor, one thing I'm going to ask just really quickly is, how many committee meetings did you attend for the building committee? Because they did have several. One.
Because
They
I was
did.
able to.
Yeah, they did have several committee meetings, and they did take information from people. And you're right, but not many people, it's kind of like your committee, not many people showed up.
Exactly. So you have to go out
And
there.
the other thing I will say is you have to have a starting place, and that's what they did. They said, okay, this is what we've come up with. This is the beginning. This is not the end. And that's what they've said all along.
I understand that, but if our beginning of communicating with the people, not inviting them to the meetings, sending out information to the homes, to the people, had been done at the start, we wouldn't have an ad hoc committee.
I have a copy of the Survey Monkey that was sent 2 years ago, if anybody wants to see it. And in that survey, the community told us what they wanted, and that's the direction that was given to the building committee. So I will pull that out of my archive files and
Okay.
give it to anybody that wants it. That's how we determine storage and what rooms needed increasing and how many people use the rooms. And
Sandra, go ahead.
Sandra Bellardo, lot 886. I have to disagree with Trevor. This community has been given a lot of notification throughout the years. Everybody knows what's going on if they want to know. Part of the communication committee is to try and reach those who don't want to know. There is a select group of people in this community that participate. And there are another section of this community that stay in their homes. They don't do any of the activities. They don't care. Our purpose as a communication committee is to explain to them that we care. The plans that are drawn, quote unquote plans, are just a drawing. It is a drawing that has been passed around for a couple years and improved on. And like the board members have said, it's not fixed. There's still time to make changes if there's that much unhappiness with the plans. So my suggestion to the community is to vote for the blueprints to find out how much this possibly cost us before we can even go any farther. So, thank you.
Ginny Olson, lot 625. I look at my watch and I see it's March 15th today. And I like to respect what the board makes for a decision, but I'm thinking it took a long time to get our communications committee finally appointed and approved. It was today. I think it was about 2 months ago at least that one of our board members, Ed, made the suggestion that he would be in charge of a marketing committee for the building. It didn't happen. It took a long time before we finally now have a communication committee. So I'm thinking we're going to start voting on March 27th. And I don't usually like to disagree with what the board makes for a decision, but today I'm thinking that's 12 days from now. None of us have seen on TV anywhere the new plans. I mean, they're in the office. You can go down and look at the plans in the office. But we need to see the upgraded plans, and we need to see these 15 questions. And we better see them in the next 12 days before we're voting.
they'll be available on Monday, provided they get approved by the board.
Thank you, but we have an even greater job, because some people still think we're voting on covenants, and some people still think we're voting on whether or not to build. And that's important. This, in a way, is not about the fact whether we're building or not, but we wouldn't be making plans if we didn't intend to build. So there is a lot of communication that has to happen. And it's not just up to the communications committee. You're going to do a wonderful job with communications. I know you are. Mary Kay, I'm sure that your questions are great. But that's only 12 days before before people can start voting. And I don't want people to start voting no because they still think we don't have bathrooms or that we're voting on covenants or some other crazy thing. I want people to vote to build, because I've been here all these years and we've been waiting. We've had this jewel that we actually received through optical tel, whether people really know it or not. And we wanted something to happen that we could enjoy. So yes, we'll be able to change plans, but we better all be out there communicating in one way or another, and we better see what the upgraded plans are. We better know the 15 questions. And I don't know how we can do it exactly, because Sandra's right too. There are people who are going to vote yes, there are going to be people who will not vote at all. But those that vote, we want to have we want them to be able to make an informed decision. So I see that as a pretty tight schedule. We'll do our best. Thank you.
Ginny, thank you. And you did bring up something that I think is important, that people need to speak up if they hear something that they know is misinformation. Like, you know, oh my God, we're not gonna have any bathrooms anywhere around the pool, so we're gonna have to pee in the pool. I mean, you know, when you hear goofy
They're gonna
stuff like
change
that,
something?
when you hear goofy stuff like that, you have to tell them that they're wrong. And have you looked at the plan? That is not the way it is, or whatever. So, because there is a lot of misinformation out there, and people seem to perpetuate it. And if we could just stop it, it will help the whole community.
Just call it a plan. It's a drawing.
Semantics, Trevor. Semantics.
Drawing.
Okay?
It's a drawing.
A drawing. Okay? A drawing. All right?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Because a plan is something you can act on.
Okay, Trevor, please
No.
stop.
You had your time.
I forgot what I was gonna say.
I think one of the points that Frank makes is really, and Ginny just said, it's not just the board, it's not just the communication committee that needs to be out there educating, it's everyone who is in favor of this change in our buildings. It's our building, so if we want it, let's get out there and beat the ground and let people know this is a good thing. This is a good thing. We can do this.
So thank you for reminding me what I was gonna say. This is not about 14 people communicating to the community. This is about every single one of you who thinks that this is a worthwhile project, that, as Frank said, when you hear something wrong, correct what is incorrect. If you know that one of your neighbors never votes on anything, talk to them. We can't do this with 14 people. We need the community to do this. This is a community project. This is not a board project. This is not a committee project. This is a community project. Please do everything that you possibly can to get the correct information out so that we can pass this vote and move forward and make this a better place for everybody in Legacy to live.
Karen.
All set?
Yep.
I looked at a document that Trevor showed me. I'm a newcomer. I didn't even know the committee had been meeting, so I'm at a disadvantage. There's a statement in there that says, we will increase our property values. You need to tell people how you're going, how will it increase your property values? We need to be more specific. You can't beat people over the head and say, this is good for you, this is good for you. You have to lead them to believe that this is something good for them, and the only way we're gonna know that is if we find out, why did you move here? What was important about living in this community? I've been here for 17 years, and true, yes, I'm comfortable with the way things are, but they could be better. At this age, I don't like big changes, but we need to change it to keep up with the times, because we have so much competition around here. So we have our homework to do, and I just hope there's enough time to do it. I don't know how far the committee has come up to this point.
We just became an official committee today.
Just,
We've been doing work as concerned citizens prior to now, and now that you're an official member of the committee, I will forward you the email so that you can take a look at everything that's been put together to date. And And please feel free to add, subtract, change, do whatever you think is necessary to the document that's been
Okay.
drafted.
I mean, I was part of so many committees up north. In fact, we had a waste transfer station wanted to put a facility in a residential community. Says, oh, you know, we won't bother anybody. Well, come to find out, it was a toxic waste transfer station. And they said, oh, well, there was a railroad behind it. And we said, oh, no, nothing. There won't be an accident. There won't be any spills. There won't be anything. And, well, we fought. We were knocking on doors. We canvassed the neighborhoods to educate the people why we didn't want it. And that's what we have to do. Educate the people why this is so important. That's it. Oh, by the way, they didn't come into our town. They went somewhere else.
Just to add with what Karen said, I think we've got a pretty good ad hoc committee put together, some good minds. It's gonna be on your shoulders. That's what we're charging you with. Get the communications out there, the questions need to be answered, information needs to be given. And I think you guys are pretty smart, you all are pretty smart, that includes the ladies too, and I'm very excited about seeing what's gonna happen at the party on the 21st. Yes, ma'am. One more thing.
One more comment. I know the renderings. Once we do have a rendering and we are expanding or bumping out, I think you need to visually show people what it will look like on the exterior, because there's a lot of opposition saying, well, it won't be symmetrical, it's gonna look funny. You need to show people what it will look like.
Well, that's part of your job to communicate to us also what you think is good. That's your job both ways.
I also think it's important, Mary Kay, that this weekend when we're looking at, I've not seen any of the questions. I don't,
Nobody has.
I know, I'm just saying, that's a fast turnaround time. If there's, I don't know how your committee's gonna work this, but what if there is an ad question and then you have to get that information together? You know, deleting is one thing, but adding and trying to get the right information, just make sure that the team's available or whatever we're gonna need to do to get it out on the 21st, because let's say we think there's a question that's important that should be in there, because I don't even know if they're on there yet. But I'm just saying that turnaround time is very quick.
We are aware of that, and we have already taken preemptive measures to schedule a meeting for Monday afternoon, to take everybody's comments into account, to compilate them into a final draft of the questions and answers, and to submit them to the board on Monday afternoon.
Okay, so
And then we will have another meeting on Friday afternoon to go over what our next steps are going to be, because we do anticipate that there are going to be questions, and we will be updating this either bi-monthly or monthly, depending on how the questions come in. So if we get 10 new questions, we're gonna address them on Friday. This has already been...
This first one's gonna be important.
It is.
Two, I just wanted to understand the timeline so that we can make our schedules available for it, you know, as well, because we all have.
So there will be a meeting notice posted for the meeting on Monday. It will be at 2 o'clock on Monday, 2 o'clock on Monday, and 3 o'clock on Friday. Yeah.
Where?
In the kitchen meeting room.
Okay.
An agenda will be posted, and I can give you an idea of what some of the questions are. I have some of them written here, but I don't have the final answers.
And that's okay. I'm just saying with that, you know, Jenny was right, with that tight timeline, we just want to make sure we nail it well. And with 600 people being at the pool, hopefully there's 300 voters out of the 600. I don't know how the numbers work, but we just want to make sure that we're solid. Okay.
So do you want to hear what some of the questions?
No, let's wrap this up, and
Yeah,
you guys can do that
let's
after.
go. Yeah, anybody else? No, thank you very much.
Thank you, Cam, for staying over, because I know this meeting started a lot later than normal. And thank you for staying over to make it happen.
The open forum's my fault, so.